Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, monsters and mad scientists! Today, we're not just dissecting Frankenstein, we're roasting it! Because let's face it, Victor Frankenstein needs a little humbling. This guy took experimenting with life to a whole new level. But hey, we're not here to judge. Okay, well, maybe just a little bit. So grab your pitchforks and popcorn and let's get ready to roast the OG mad scientists. What's better than talking smack about other people's lives when yours is falling apart? Not that I know, of course. Totally not from personal experience, I swear. For new watchers, welcome to JZox. This is the video essay series, episode 1, a comedic roast of Frankenstein. Let's bring it to the present for a moment. Nowadays, Frankenstein has become a pop culture icon, the book everyone thinks they know. But do they? You say Frankenstein and people immediately picture a big green bolt-necked dragon or monster going grrrr. But surprise, Frankenstein isn't the monster. He's the guy who made him. The real monster is, well, kind of a philosophical debate, isn't it? We see Frankenstein everywhere. Halloween decorations, classic horror movies. There's even one with a dog, baby, a hooker. It's even in our everyday cartoons. Can you believe it? One of my favorite cartoon characters is the daughter of Frankenstein. It's in debates about AI and genetic engineering. We had one in class. I would remember. I won. Concerning all of this, Mary Shelley's novel written in 1880 isn't just her telling a spooky story. Sure, on the surface, Frankenstein is about a guy who builds a monster and regrets it, running away from it. But beneath the lightning-zapped exterior, Shelley was exploring big, complicated ideas that still resonate today. Alrighty, now that we've got the basics covered, let's move into the juicy stuff. The characters. Who are these folks, or in some cases, things, and what world possesses them to make such hilariously awful decisions? What's their purpose, their backstory? Do they have a trust fund? And what's their role in this mess? And do they tie into the themes in any important ways? We're about to break down the true monsters of the story, Victor Frankenstein and his questionable creature. Let's roast them, one bad decision at a time. Also, disclaimer, a lot of the points I'm gonna make today have quotes on the screen that relate to the book, so don't forget to pay attention. Look at the screen. Okay, for starters, a round of applause for Victor Frankenstein. The guy who took one look at a pile of body parts and thought, yeah, this needs a spark. Truly, the OG DIY enthusiast, proving that some projects should definitely just stay on Pinterest. Victor starts off as your classic overachiever. He's brilliant, ambitious, curious. He has an obsessive nature with the social skills of a lab rat. He isolates himself from family and friends to chase the ultimate science fair project, creating life. A new species. Look at the quote. But unlike the rest of us who settle for baking soda volcanoes, Victor decides to defy the natural order. Conquer death. He wants to prove that he's the Beyonce of scientists. What motivates Victor? Oh, nothing too well. Just a little tiny obsession with glory. The quote on the screen, again, it highlights this. At the start, his intentions may seem noble, as he believes he's on the verge of a revolutionary discovery that will benefit mankind. However, as the story unfolds, you start to see that his confidence is so blinding, you'd think he invented the LED lights. His obsession blinds him to the moral and ethical consequences of his actions. When Victor finally brings the creature to life, he doesn't stick around for the post party cleanup. No, he just takes one look at the creature and he dips, describing the creature as horrible, disgusting. He can't even look at it. Victor, buddy, you literally made this thing. You can't just ghost it like it's a bad Tinder date. This marks the start of his descent into what can only be described as a midlife crisis wrapped in existential dread. His once brilliant ambition collapses into a mix of guilt, horror, and how do I return this monster for store credit? Spoiler alert, there is no refunds on hubris. The character transformation is evident in his shift from a hopeful, determined scientist to a man haunted by the consequences of his own actions. By the end, Victor looks like he hasn't touched grass in months. Fueled by regret and bad decisions, he's consumed by guilt, fear, and a thirst for vengeance against the creature. It's honestly kind of ironic. Like, bro, how you beefing with something you built? Newsflash, Victor, you can't be mad at something you built. That's like yelling at your IKEA furniture for falling apart after you skipped step 3. So let's move on to his strength. This guy's got brains, lots of them. He has the ability to push the boundaries of knowledge. He's also got the scientific knowledge to reanimate life, which is impressive, if not a little extra. But here's the catch, his weakness, this man's got zero foresight. He fails to consider the consequences of his actions, neglecting the emotional and ethical aspects of his creation. His lack of empathy is almost impressive. He treats the creature like a bad science project that he completely just drops. To sum it all up, he's all genius with no responsibility, and again, spoilers, it comes to bite him back. Let's talk about how other characters gossip. Oh, wait, never mind. I meant talk about him. I say it's fairly mixed Yelp reviews. They view Victor with a mix of adoration, admiration, and concern. At the start, he's the smart kid with potential, like me, both to his family and his professors, though they do remind him of his god complex. However, once he completes the game of playing God, he becomes tragic and filled with rage. Again, surprise, surprise, all his relationships, spoilers, die or deteriorate. And all of this might or might not have a part in destroying his life. Ugh. Victor's background? He has a privileged upbringing, education, and family, and all of this shapes his actions. As seen from the quote on the screen, he's basically handed most things in life, which makes him act like a spoiled brat. Apologies. It makes him feel like he has to achieve something he cannot have. I think his family's absence, due to his obsession with work, also leads to his growing detachment from morality. As an excuse, I guess we could say that his privileges didn't give him the emotional grounding to stop overstepping natural boundaries. To give him a role, I would say Victor is the tragic hero. And let's all say it together, deep breath. He is not a villain, he's just a victim of his own unchecked ambition. Victor's refusal to take responsibility causes a chain of events that lead to the deaths of his loved one and his own demise. His actions tie into themes of hubris, unchecked ambition, and scientific responsibility. His failure to accept the consequences causes the creature's vengeance, destroying both their lives. And in the end, this is just a cautionary tale. Don't create a monster and ignore it. It's bad parenting. Let's talk about the creature. The creature in Frankenstein is often mistaken for a mindless brute, but he's more a Shakespearean tragedy than a Halloween costume. He's an emotionally complex, with tragic backstory and a PhD level understanding of misery. Trust me. Born with hope in his heart and a face that could make people drop their groceries, his journey from innocence to vengeance is that of a friend who starts out sweet, but ends up posting dark memes after too many bad experiences. When the creature first wakes up, he's basically a newborn. He's innocent, curious, and capable of kindness, abandoned by Victor like a forgotten homework assignment. He's left to figure out everything by himself. He becomes a self-taught genius in language, philosophy, and the bitter reality that humans aren't always kind. He watches the DeLacy family, his would-be adopted squad, and this is the start of his beacon of hope. But when they see him, they kinda get shocked. They just stumble into a horror movie. It's a little heartbreaking, but instead of finding love, he finds rejection. And that's when things start to shift. This brother now wants revenge. His thoughts are shown on the screen. And who can blame it? I say fair play, mate. His first goal is simple: connection. He just wants to be understood, to show that he's more than just a monster. Isn't that all of us? By the way, let's move on. But after enough rejection, he decides that if he can't have happiness, then neither can Victor. Quote on screen. His demand for a companion isn't just about love, it's about fairness. He says, "You made me like this, so you fix it." But shocked, Victor refuses. This makes the creature's anger grow, and his need for revenge takes over. It's no longer about the connection, it's about making Victor pay for his own selfishness. Let's talk stats! Is this a good Fortnite skin? The creature is a physical powerhouse, and he's frighteningly smart. His strength allows him to survive in the wild, and his intellect allows him to learn human language and even debate existential philosophy. Can you believe that? But his emotional vulnerability is his Achilles heel. His need for love and acceptance makes him fragile, and every rejection chips away at his hope, leaving him more bitter. He's a perfect combination of intelligence and emotional fragility, which is exactly why he spirals the way he does. He may be capable of great things, but his emotional breakdowns are kind of a ticking bomb. His internal conflict is the backbone of the story. He's torn between his deep desire for companionship and the growing hatred he feels toward humanity for rejecting him. The battle isn't between him and Victor physically, it's a battle of the wills. Victor refuses to take responsibility for creating him, as I said before, and the creature basically retaliates by targeting everything Victor holds dear. It's the classic revenge plot, but with a tragic twist. The creature is a reflection of Victor's failures. He's a victim of the circumstances, but also a perpetrator of violence. His revenge spree, while kind of understandable, doesn't exactly scream healthy coping mechanism. Ultimately, the creature is more than just a villain. He's a walking reminder that the responsibilities come with creation. Victor's abandonment of him isn't just a plot point, it's a huge moral lesson. The creature's pain and violence are direct results of being rejected by both his creator and society. Totally not me. I don't relate. I don't. And to be honest, if Victor had done a halfway decent job at being a dad, we might have had a different story. But instead, we're left with a creature who, through tragic, is driven by deep need for connection and a powerful sense of justice. So, remember, the next time somebody calls the creature the monster, he's not. He's not evil, he just has a lot of daddy issues. Also, maybe don't ghost your 8-foot-tall science experiment. Lesson learned, Victor. Lessons learned. So let's talk about it. Victor and the creature are the ultimate recipe for disaster. They're two sides of the same coin, both messed up in their own right. Victor's obsession with playing God and his refusal to take responsibility for his creation is like me not acknowledging my chores. Sorry, not funny? I know. I'm trying. Meanwhile, the creature, instead of getting a heartfelt hug, gets rejection and anger and decides to go full-on vengeance mode. Victor's single-minded ambition and the creature's need for companionship and revenge are like the worst possible combination, which is why it's a great book. One's too self-absorbed to care, and the other's too angry to stop. Together, they spiral into chaos, each feeding off each other's plot, until it all inevitably collapses. And that's, my friend, is what creates a perfect enemies to lovers bromance. Wait, I meant novel. Now for some side character roasting, because some of them pissed me off. Let's talk about Henry Serval, the real MVP, the most victimized pal. Henry, the ultimate bestie. He's like Ken to Barbie, the human equivalent of a golden retriever, always loyal, always there, and way too good for this world. Victor's like, hey, I ruined my life, wanna join? And Henry's like, sure, brother. It honestly kills me. If loyalty was lethal, Henry wouldn't even have made it halfway through the novel. Let's talk about Captain Robert Walton, Titanic 2.0. He's the guy who thinks, you know what the world needs? Another white guy chasing glory in frozen wasteland. He's like, if you gave your overly ambitious cousin a ship and said go wild. Spoiler again, it does not end well. He's basically Victor Light, but instead of creating life, he's just really good at being cold and miserable. And when Walton and Victor meet, instant bromance. They bond over their shared passion for making poor life decisions and blaming everyone but themselves. So there you have it. Victor, the creature, and even some of the side characters got their fair share of roasting. I know I'm not that funny, but But let's not forget, while we laugh at their flaws and questionable life choices, Frankenstein isn't just about poor decisions and bad haircuts. It's about ambition, isolation, and the consequences of playing God. I say bad haircuts because the AI generated pictures of Frankenstein, crazy. Victor Frankenstein might have just created a monster, but Mary Shelley created a timeless classic that forces us to confront our own flaws and human nature. It's a tragic story, sure, but it's also got a lot of fun moments to poke fun at. So, next time you're reading Frankenstein, remember, it's okay to laugh, but also don't try to reanimate everything. Stick to experiments that don't involve literal monsters. Volcanoes that blast work well, I got my science fair project. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, sometimes the true monster isn't the guy on the operating table, but the guy who didn't think his life choice is true. Catch you next time, and don't forget to check your window for the creature. He might be lurking there, trying to get adopted into your family. Get it? Because, the lazy family. Do you want me to explain it? Do you